47. The pressure is appearing though it does not try to appear, and it has begun to come forward. Everything symbolically exists in its higher desired state, and though it cannot be explained, the powerlessness has fallen to a lower level. The desire to avoid the lower level is perpetual, and the delayed obstacles are in the air. The wind has destroyed my idea which had remained here for a long time. It came effortlessly, and it was not a paradox. The fully marked up depths have no push, and there is just one difficulty, and it does not run out of potential to lift me back up to another level higher up. I have no poster board that can be made into a plane which can drop lower. The puzzle remains unsolved, and if it could be solved in just one way, then I would be able to loosen the whole. All the pieces are here, and it is necessary that I find them to loosen it. I will take it piece by piece and learn how I can, in this spot I dwell, be able to answer to what importantly is scattered around me so as to not do anything when nothing is left to do. And so I relax, and the inside becomes outside rather than the outside becomes inside. There is a stereoatomic mass where there would be skylights, curtains, and there is concrete where windows could be. 48. There is no art to the vestibule, and where a balcony was, only an idea is left featured. It is all wet and smooth of interest. Nothing is either old or new but that it makes darker the brightness of a happiness. The sad normal flatness around me has its powerless pride, and when I sleep, the rest does not tie me into any answers, and the ground whereon ideas are destroyed has been clear enough to clarify my return. I cannot use the opening of the play, and I have kept what currency I could without giving it any direction just yet. There is a teaching around the stucco home, but the plants and the yard are gone. Among the smooth cotton I have been asleep, and there is no way to experience any top. And, a weeping has been in the darkness that sharpens itself among the moving lights. I have risen up and gravity has given me a foothold, and there is a little finger pointing at the little things that cannot be moved at all. The crime is in the construction of nature, and I have created with success a synthesis of my own person with that same nature that harmonizes science to the crime. 49. It will be peeled apart. Every chipboard layer will be separated, and silence will ensue. I will push through the separations and form an architecture of nothingness. Very many likenesses can be reversed once. This is not a time for destruction. The candle, the cologne, the weight bench, the paycheck, the dictionary, the toothbrush, the boxers, the books, the violin, the amplifier, the jeans, the answering machine, the shirts and the shoes have no connection here that is any of my business or another's. I return to my theme of anti-authoritarianism, and to the judges and to the ants. The feet are in the pool, and I am asleep. I have lost my soccer ball and my microscope. Two gentlemen are silently watching penguins. And, nothing can be thrown in which is fine, yet they nudge and nudge each other fine. I am out of my bed and on stage again. The post office calls me back to return to the past. This is a place which cannot be postmarked. And, this night is my performance, and one field of science motivates me to factor in the whole of the charity with an interest which I once lost. These explorations are the same ones, and the chain has been broken where the darkness of the land has shadowed over a scattering of leaves. And, nothing is left to study which was high up, and the darkness has compressed to dim the posters. 50. The answer is a sculpture which has no use. There is no technique for it to achieve by distortion the effect to which I am numb. There idles a supernatural idea, and it loosens from arrest its own spirit. Its destruction rests in the letting go of it, and the form it once had is now useless. And, the music will be traditional, and it just takes one instrument to be silently recorded for there to be no way to see the end to either its rhythm or melody. Before all has been tested and recorded, there will be heard for the first time that object which stays stabilized within the music. It neither has a beautiful nor an unsightly destruction, and yet it takes forever to happen. The object stays stabilized where it is, and the answer is certainly separated from any discourse which came first. The meaning is that the destruction has a polish to it whenever an object withers. And, continuing as always is its form where neither beginning nor end is metamorphic according to its action. There is just one, and in reality, that one has never been feasible but by freedom, and it is not acceptable to stay in place what must be let go. And, I am aware that the attention given is uncertain of the center. For there is no thesis in the Hegelian dialectic which constantly stabilizes but is let go, and the action of doing so is what my awareness ends. The metaphors of the past break away, and if there is one final example of this, let that treat sweeten the plot for its answer. The answer at the end will be an answer similar to its action, and the place of the action will break away from the metaphors of the past again. Yet there will not be explained the total method to why it happens in this way. 51. It is not a language, so there is no etymology. And, even when I misunderstand my own, and when everything included in the world is from it, then I must embrace the rupture, and cling to the worldly assumption that moves me as I assume that there is enough peace which moves with me too through the humility of my accomplishment. And, the weeping is for what is in the heart which is by me for them. I believe it is forever. I believe that this belief is felt because of what lies ahead, and my heart has not even begun to differentiate that which is new from these true fossils of the stillness of a patience I fruitfully correct. The air flows through my body, and happily the stillness of the day is clothed with an awareness of its own quiet. There is a way to rub through this wall but not by pushing upon it. The living trees thicken around the stillness. And, I remember that I am in a trance, and my eyes are open to my waking and to the continuance of the present time of this day. And, being awake, I am won over by that one attraction of a colorful plenty, and what I see and feel becomes a poetry of nothing else. The cover to this wagon shelters a living depth whose purple joys I cannot copy nor destroy. It can do it all, but not by any trying is my romance crafted. What does not stretch out from it is a note in the key of E that is bold. That E note does not even come from only my backyard where a purposeful creature watches me. It comes from the brightness of day, and before it is gone, I feel that it was not me who was exceptional, but rather it is that one fulfilled creature who found its mate and who found with its place out there another. 52. I feel with what ease it is to destroy something in myself which was neat and wild. One person can be so unlike another, and if one person is irresponsible for his kicking away of the ladder of reason, then it is clear that the inspiration has failed the view of things which have loosened up the self. To lose that was never the way to fix this thing that has always been unclear, but it will relax the self into an unregistered love for itself. When I am blinded to myself, then the business of centering upon the clear feeling I had has had the ramification that it can change. Where no leaves grow, there is nothing to see. And there is no vehicle that will transport the self into its divine self when it is at rest within the love that it must have for itself. And, to the self, there is none who can dally like the self who uses itself literally. And, no book, nor poetry, nor plan, nor idea can mend that focus which continues to be directed at that whole discourse it has for thinking about its environment where in a moment it cannot even name its own literal importance by speaking with those who exist with it who go beyond it. Our rest is housed in the feelings in the center of the space where we on earth dwell, and, specifically, the environment cannot be perceived beyond the trees, the house and the street as disconnected. But when there is incoherence in the soul, then that rest will be peaceful. It will be as peaceful as ever because the plot to loosen its time will be as clear as the skies. Yet, the incoherence will be of the present time, and a city will emerge. And, the leaves of the trees will grow. And, the street and the sidewalk will stretch. I cannot speak in conversation of this, and I will go away unclear of my answers being proud with just being at peace with my safe self who sits here literally. I will be aware of my signal to be natural again, and neither pen nor paper will work to comfort my loss, but this ease I have must be mastered while I still live even if my ears do not hear what fills up my consciousness through my body by a tongue not mine. And, with its feelings self-aware, a silence grows in time to be solved whenever I so decide. 53. When the land is full and tended, it will represent finite. I do not play tic-tac-toe over the wires because there is no repetition. The tracks neither come nor diminish, and the open pavilion seems natural. I hum for no reason, and the fetters I was in have been unlocked, and I can see space best. There is just one room to leave behind now, and I will create more when there is room. There is no way to be original when originality is the convention, and some ancient end has for me much speechlessness. When I cannot understand or know my confusion, because it is a well-kept secret, I will make myself less bored by meditating by slowly reading in order to refute what has destroyed these things around me. And, without any grammar, rhetoric or style, I will put to rest with slowness my incoherence. If I ever speak again, nothing still will happen, and I am sure that I want to speak about love. For my time literally has been, and its minutes have been literally peaceful. And, the universe still is not a fact to me when what is worst for some is worst for all. That injustice is too much for some when their imaginations are so mild as never to imagine what can be done about it. At the very bottom is an inhuman story, and we all of us cannot yet conquer it until the mind and the matter waste away without reason or emotion, without thought or the ding-a-zish. Because there is no paradox to study, the audience will not be shocked. And the pencil of the author will be made mild, and the waste of it all will be described breathlessly, and the whole mind and matter will be able to be explored. CM and KB septate, and to feel that you know this feeling will be in your cry that becomes described in the feeling that you too live alone. Those who have died still live somewhere, but they stay off the crowded street. Your hands are not in your pockets because you are naked as to the afterlife where you are going without any passion. 54. The daytime can be easily explained, and I better this day do that because the sun has not yet unmade what has begun for my room and myself, which for us both in its soft light is given up as the answer. Being left alone in the daytime which has not yet died off into night, a human answer is given by its own light. And, indirectly many songs are left behind when the day goes by. And, without paper, I get myself into its perfection and know that I have a purpose which is to stay here to feel it go forward with me whatever it is. A similar collection of songs is left behind when the tempo fades off. But they differ in melodies than those I make. And in the stillness, and on a piano, the notes leave me confused if I rest afterwards in the room. They shorten their attack upon a time that lowers without preference to my own rhythm. The injustice is that no words happen literally in the space I find for silence. And, nothing will be described when the farther off mortality is dishonored by anyone. Then Donald Judd is not here, and there is no craftsmanship to be loved, and love itself is just a part of the desire to be loved even without clarity or passion. Without a love of the silence, a light opens up but grows weak, and the body becomes silent not by wasting in its relative or absolute space, but by housing the clarity within it. And, in America, when one has no power to take oneself eastward to the Appalachians, then the clarity of the sky and the climate will darken where the shadows fade the lights. And, if there is no care to be freely open with that one desire to find the one way beyond that is natural, then let Dr. Johnson be honored in the East in the silence which appears over time. And, give him over to what you find concrete and solid in quality. 55. If there were any brick or clay or glass in Texas, then it would be ancient again, and its power would be relative to the land where desire touches the earth. There are no conditions for this rejection to be, and the clouding over of consciousness happens just as it does over the land, and I am given over to this time span with Mozart in his good sense. Love is part of this rotten wooden frame that straightens better the trees nearby. And, Suzanne Langer is gone, and the poet and the musician are in place of nature with the good sense to sound their heights to which they do belong. These sounds are forms of melodies that capture my time. And, the courtyard is of time and becomes neglected over time as the definitions are. And, literally the architecture is nature herself, and this domain does not resemble any land of silence. Yet, without being accentuated, the arguments vanish, and the hysteria and the yelling against what was said once has surprisingly been forgiven that was forgot. The eyes are wide, and the talk is calm, and the yells have all quieted down so that we could look within to find that peace which once was wasted in our defeat. What nature has made rests upon the earth, and the goodness of it which nourishes us has been loved and maintained by us still. The rigid frames take a wonderful smoothness into what is hard and soft about me. And, the material is the same with love which is good from every dimension that nature adds to this greatness. And, Barthes had a hope to stay sure that the literal home was the same as these fields around me. These same fields answer to the good sense to stay around without any technique for staying around, but just that was what I too have elected to do. The ending is changeless, and anybody else can see that some silly words have as much of a theme of seriousness as can be put into the motion of a sentence. And, gentle people hope to be treated by others not any differently. 56. The freedom is to be older and living, and the pillow cannot be held forever. There is imbalance in the clean and safe field, and my arms slowly rest me here from a mind to write, for some lines are intact, and though there is no drawing that is wasted, I feel I am not where I should be, and I cannot explore what has no plane nor shapes of planes whether bent or unbent. There is no measurement to this solid because the core cannot be upon the edge of the same edge which empties its plane that could have been fit to measure. The least favorite icon is a scene. The S space and the P space cannot absorb the research because of an inactivity. And, in a field in nature, no echoes are felt to go forward since the echoes are impossible to absorb. It is weak in every direction, and it is weakest when so many have the answers which are not needed for my plan. The gravity is dead out here. The air is still and sits upon the land incorrectly because it cannot move forwards without moving the parts around it, and the clothes I wear, and the car I drive are given in this picture without any details. Yonder no days are set aside for the concrete compositions which I have imagined in detail. And, that makes many differences. 57. When nothing can be done, though nobody is against you, then the invention will be to be normal again, and nothing will turn into nothing. Then the foot will be in motion, and it will be possible to get things wrong, which is of a goodness on the side, and reading will be impossible to do. There will not be found a similarity between the things taken literally, nor will there be any destruction of Babakali. There will be no Gliniator, nor Shamalababa, and no Shangiska. And, the object will be to say nothing, and then you will win what was impossible, which is the progression into a feeling. And when the destruction proceeds beyond a mere destruction of logic, then the old inventions can be freed. There will be neither atoms nor any pressure to avoid since they were ignored beforehand. The avoidance of communication neither happens on low nor on high, and to wish that it mattered is what the body has done over time. It is not logical to part with an ignorance which nobody has, and the air is destroyed by the avoidance of the land. And, it does not change what expands to the heights of the body zone. It is impossibly false to let one thing go, and think of how to begin with another. The body must have its solitude, and it must change by some freedom its rule over what it has been given. And when these gifts are forbidden to share, then there will be a speech which is heavenly to be organized but only for later. Fortunately, the ideal is that something can attract a description of itself and go on with the giving of a few answers. To forbid oneself that gift, which awakens one up to it all, quickly stops what would have sped up for the silence that frees the body of its shyness. When it rises from its history, then all adds up. The indifference within its space of the day has been for that silence which also rises. And, at the end of the imagination, there a whole stays down, and a few more help. For the meaning of the whole is of interest, and the light and the indifference even to that have not been as depressing as when the wonder of it all dissolved. 58. There is no life without worms, and yet this stage has been abandoned again that once had for its backdrop our sad theater. When the continent is at peace, then there will be no more farms nor people nearby. But the worst of it is that there will be no more light to philosophize about, as it will all be dimmed. And, it takes no feet to go away freely, but I cannot touch the spot I am in since there was never any school for that, though still there was constructed once a brightness in this space with some others for the sweet years. Yet, whenever our song would start, the wealthy dimness, ever outside now, would bend the years by us from my eye's own, and what has been rough about the compound is also what has been rough about my sailboat. Then there is no art to the law now where its own dimness is for anybody who buries their time in a waste of fun as I have. The continent gleams with cherry trees, and being near my heart, this landscape is for a rain shower, as I am for many taters, and yet it does not take many ages to roll into its wealth again another springtime to be revealed. 59. There is a stillness like a paradise. It makes interesting the world and all its stage. Earthly lakes have been separated over a time which seems now as blue as the spiritual sky. And, when there is nothing left to learn, then the area here will take me through it, and at its center will be beheld another's heart. So if to make me calm is to annihilate my words so that the things of heaven appear therefore even for a moment within you so as to face another beginning of another forgetting, then let my lines be brought out together that count for this age. Brown branches will bear the fruits of my love, and the city keeps behind its machines away from my lucky head. But, if its clubs darken that earth which I should have received, then its brightness will go away from me, and the sometimes soggy way will be of that silence that I will observe how the vanishing of any outer answers I have had upon this lovely lake will make even more gentle the texture of its spread. 60. The inside will invite an answer to know where the sunbeams end. And, Down from the trees, there is happiness where an absolute wonder is in that action given out to have had to descend these trees. For the answer is that nothing has been new for a while because things blur. The pleasure still has not yet departed, and a curiosity is in the air about all of these little indescribable things. The harmony is never intimidating to feel because it is the answer to do or not to do whether there is an interest in the explanation. In the front yard, there is 6 feet but no door. The corners cannot be turned where a circle is made. And, the tops have no windows because you have no need for them there, and in that space instead is a painted steel. There is a squeezed tube of viewers, but still there is no poster board, and the tops lowered to an opening so that many walls can be set. There is a sphere whose circumference makes shapes upon its surface. Many will rise as if impatient to see what is here at the top. The walls are of words scattered around because there is no system. There is no hierarchy to be established, and a visible harmony is set in the mind which can be seen from below. The heart and the mind do not know what I have done, and yet this night, I will depart having a weakness for needing to know. There are no log cabins if this is someplace other than America. And, there has been nothing of a foot modular system which is wholly American in construction. And, the balloon framing, and the skyscrapers develop into a stillness in their architecture as I succeed in representing the same stillness in the relationships of spheres to this sphere. Yet, this is no way to pause upon the porch if I cannot move myself out and clean, decorate, or put stuff out there to fix it to stay still upon its place. The feeling I have is to use my time to add up that work, and by doing so, to add to it facts and possibilities which could not have been imagined to grow without my own growth. I did not use a thick line on heavier paper, but there is time to feel that the old way of organizing old possibilities empties out my time, even as it will fill up that void for later. 61. I stay around these letters but I am absent otherwise from my own spiritless work where I take no big risks. And, perchance the desires I have for solitude will be to choose it again wisely. For there is no difference between the architecture and the sculpture which has always failed to be normal. And, just one silence will exist later that situates me straight away to go onward to add to a line to pass me hence. Nothing is random, and friends cannot reverse these normal things for a private life alone. And, by ignoring the sight of the vision which ignores me, there is no surprise there that any friends I hope can have. I hear the music and its softness is alive. It covers me like a field and I too hope that this season and the stars in a minute will live on with intellectual beauty. And that one sound before of thought innocently becoming selfless is of silence. It has no name if it has no goal, for the goal is not for the universe to worsen and become a powerless poem. The selflessness of a damn good poem is its own good reason to have more words that do beautify and glorify to analyze what else would drag the poet into the depths of an observation that what is to come cannot be overcome if the words do not free anyone from that which they were. 62. I cannot wait to let it all be, and what I can no more explore of love or hate will make me numb to cover it all up again in disgust. And, I will not display my suffering after I fight to have less fear that in abandonment all will be revealed which is trite and colloquial of having enough of silence. And, as many poets know, I also know that there is no wasted space in the house built for this future that is invisible to us, and still its invisibility is misunderstood as an extraordinary undoing. And, the text and the powerlessness over its intelligence both happen to be universally ours. The universe is not an experiment, and its reality is realistically absorbed in its failure to be our complete choice. For we echo the text we visually see, and its printed script has to be absorbed. If nothing is more important than that, then the disassemblies of the places where we are will happen. And, nature will be everywhere outdoors, and there will be nothing at all here indoors. The modern alphabet will be parallel to the reality of what has been absorbed, and in an honest text, what is said will not be confusing but be comforting eternally to its readers. This one night is not bad for living normally. The home is stayed within again, and I have continued from yesterday again, and this night slows me down. The goodness is the goodness of a harmony of its plot. And the calm is the calm that is the result of its unfolding before me. And the space which settles around many others affects me, but there is no incident that is not flexible enough that our language cannot outline. And the poster is set aside for the empty room, and the cubic boxes of its emptiness are as of a darkness of the future. and its own ink bleeds, and it will be translated in a stampede by some who share in these effects, or by all who have the freedom to choose only to wonder. And the container is filled up again that will flip upside down upon the countertop. There will be no pace to those who search for the sense of this sight. And the manipulation of this local domain will not be in any geography that is real. For nothing resembles this Californian peak, because by moving across time the reality of a real time has this moment traveled beyond the mountain's top. 63. One answer is to embrace what is human, and there will be no need to have any more, because you already are so thankful for that. But, when other people are crying out because of despair, then there will be no need to ignore any more each other's comforts, and your memory will become visible again. And when all is remembered perfectly, then there will be no need to read anything, and yet it will be impossible to catch up to a single ordinary message as to why any bitterness at all makes us uncomfortable that those who were comforted are no more. And, there will be no need to be in disguise, since the outcomes are predictably undefined. And, when the sacrifice is just to listen for instruction, then its meaning will answer to what is human and completely hopeful. And, still to write it all down cannot happen, even when asked to write it down, and even when asked not to write it down. None can instruct those who already have their own confidence, and I am out for the pleasure myself to have certainty that I am free, and that no one is anonymous, and that a love for all, whether anonymous or not, must not wait until heaven is here, or we there. Any human can say that he or she knows that there is love before there is heaven. And to be an underdeveloped human is to go on saying what will not be heard. And if bitterness was the answer, having it would cease the bitterness. Those who feel so bitter do not have to, since there is a hope which would do all it can to undo bitterness. And when the hope comes to do just that, to lift by love another from his or her pain, then those who must have hope must let it. 64. When it is not okay, then a little perfection will not be given to your name. And then there will be no way to put the bottle back which undid the love. And the love has been undone which could not be seen in anybody's eyes, and it is not okay that we are not rocking it yet. Then the super promised land will be shaken, and the heart will lose interest in its own stuff if heaven itself does not justify its own reason for being so. There should be no cant if the answer is love, and though we are not thankful enough if all that is banal worsens our day, still it is not the right answer to do nothing. And if Malvolio never was Malvolio, there would be questions about what to say. But I do not know sometimes how to write the banality which is going on, which seems changeless. And when there is no subject matter left, then there will be nothing to say or even know about this or that which could be beautiful, of that which could be awe-inspiring. And when the monumental outrageousness around Texas is no more, then nothing will be left to do about the love which lights you through your way this moment out of your bed. And, when the prayers themselves are unlikely to be answered in the present moment, then W.C. Fields will not seem pleasant any more to you. Yet, still our time must not be wasted which corrects itself of those who seem so. 65. Their method does not come from others. There is no other person who brightly sparks my heart other than an angel. And, I am not equal to one, and who I am is that I will be one. When to the heights of my humanity this wall rises, then there will be no love other than what will be upon those heights, and then I will sell out to no one there, and my arms will then flap as well like the leaves of a tree. And, if I have come authentically to love, then later on if I free up my doubts that nothing I say will be lost by now, and then my soul will come off as a gift, and will get going out of its shell. Not one theory can make more normal the manner to which I have made clear that whatever does not better you or another does not better me. The American politics have broken the whole, and the fields cannot be seen by me because others have hated me and my kind. But mine own have left it up to me to learn my own way back to their heights where they number. 66. There is no surprise that is in this which I give, yet later, there will come the understanding that the anonymous ones will come near in your direction whom you seem to need not, yet you're not the one who has the answer now. But there is a criminal mastermind who listens in and hates to listen in to anyone as good as you. There is a little evasion to this child's play, and I know to whom I should listen, yes. We are tight not being criminal masterminds, and to listen in on you is not going as well as when you go into that book that you love. Ah, there is still dying in paradises on earth, there is still dying even in Oahu, Hawaii, but love is not going to go away. And by the hope that another's unhappiness can be corrected so as to have them feel loved is what our listening in will do. Before we came upon the answer to correct, and before there was any space before we came here, out of it, to correct and answer to what is made dull, in the badness, those who rest without hope, we have corrected, and always will, your own misunderstandings about the life to which you came, which is your gift from heaven for you, child, whom we love. 67. In the solidity is the good spark, but it blocks me from writing this down. The human has a little stomach, and a blocking is made to stop one from living well. And nothing majestically helps that blocks me so well from that truth, when staying still, that there are guides who are good sparks blocking my freedom so that I can feel good. And my life is not yet in the books, but later there will be one book. And if that one book is beautiful, then I will have it as a dear friend. But I have never written anything yet about the goodness I feel of those pleasures which are from other books discovered. I will buy all that I can use, and everybody thinks that my fire is from this good feeling. And I do like it, and others like it when I say that the weightlessness of everything takes me with it according to its doing. But I cannot say that I am safe if unwatched. And it is nice that I have not been ugly to others with the possibility of my love, and I will teach how and why to live. And I will say more about the attack that leaves me saying ooh. But Richard McBride is not alive, and neither is Honey McBride, nor their father. And I do not have that mysterious disease which is to question all. And it is not awesome that I am not on baby Hawaii now, and I did not write how to read and why, but I will say farewell to Mandy, who is not surprised that I felt nothing on earth. But I will listen for the goodness since the goodness is desirable to have. As I worry about who does not listen, my sanity still is naturally the same about these feelings as with flowers. And I am as patient as sweetly I can be for my kisses now. 68. There was never anything outside beyond this first floor unit but seriousness. And, when the talk died down seriously, then the distances vanished from me. And there, everybody has spread out while inside this place there is no place I can call home. And, under these rooftops, the distances between places have been seriously serious. And there was an unfriendliness that left when everybody's seriousness and inhospitality which had once made dumb Joseph and Fernando were put to bed. There is no look to what is out there still, and being so, I will not be coming to it. And, the strangers around me cannot see me, and there has never been anyone more strange around here than strange me, Nevuva. I have been here again without interruptions, and still the sore truth is that very seriousness. And, there has been a strangeness to the time which is unlike anything I had in store. The immediacy must be looked into because these spirits have been dashed into pieces who had left for their distances. And nothing is here that is over there dashed into pieces like this strange stuff of the heart which once was silent, which now cannot give to anybody else anything more. And, because of that, because all was taken away from its place, there is nothing left under the rooftops that I can take up in my greediness. I must not strive to question again because I do not need to any more. So there are no questions left to throw away or empty out because what was never here will still never come forward to bring me out an answer. 69. When I do not consider who my teachers are, and I am not dear, but when all is messed up, then it will be no accident that I will feel that the world out there has not given me a central shot. And when we return to our despair that what is bad for a while of our humanity will not be concluded for a while, then it will not be to show us more of that, and we will pretend no more to teach since we do not know it all, and nothing is earned by talking about what happens when those who would learn do not. And nothing can be done for my own humanity which is unlike another's to bring it to action that I might for Judy or for others collect from what I have worked out to be shortened. When we cannot yet transcend these feelings we have felt with others to teach what we ought so as to help other teachers be free to be themselves, then our stars will dim, and their stars will dim, and everybody's stars will dim, and it will mean that nothing has been prepared by us when we all of us leave our bodies for what is beyond them. 70. It has not yet turned to night because the light is long holding itself over the rooftops. And, our common humanity is settling down for the night to rest. And there is a goodness in the angels because our talks make it better for a while. And there is still sunshine that is let loose just like the words between angels and myself while still a man like me is free to shine at the center when they do watch. And, nature is not as free as the goodness which they pour forth, and I shout for joy that such goodness exists better even than what light is left that makes up a sunset. And it is a great feeling to be taken in by them away from some troubles, but not all, For hope itself is not final, though I am free to leave these angels to themselves, and yet my life with them has a way which shines as upon a dark path leading through nature to help me see what was there that without them I could not. There may not be any love from others, and others may not feel my own love for them, but if there has been no fun from our past, then let some change, so change all of that. And, to stay in this good place as friends, that is what angels do even if they find none who are here, as I have done, to love them. 71. By answering Hotspur, things will not always work out, but this game of charades will work. I love Telemachus, but I am not there yet. And, things could be better by looking around. And, the bread flows, yet the written words do not. And, it is not funny if it is too ordinary, and there is no phenomenon, but it pays to be playing charades. But I will not be writing this without my being saved from taking much more from this piece I love. And, I will put down my drink to say no to have it be as normal as again it goes, and the bread is good, and the poetry comes, and I read it thinking that I am like a doctor. And, right here, Dr. Samuel Johnson is not in charades, but it is easy to talk even more about Lot's daughters, and my love is for the music playing, which is the difference. And, Shalom Aleichem, I am in motion, and Tob Shabib has made a drawing of me, and I flow, and I have the knowledge of the names of my angel wives, who savor this moment. And, Angel Tob Shabib, by drawing me, got bubble gum for that, and we all of us know that this is the way to get people talking. And, moving beyond Hamlet's apartment, the love goes on, and there is no way anybody can put us into any hell, and, Numa and Black Spark would not do that, I am confident, but I do not think that they symbolize anyone now. And, the rest of them must be helped to talk, even if their thoughts are quiet because they are so very high up, and Numa and Black Spark must indeed have their good time. And, I go through with my own good time, and the vent is below my head, and I take my glasses off, and I listen to what is being said. So when I do not know where I am, and when I do not even need to go home yet, then I will not call out for my angel Shay who is hot, but I will be patient. And, I will be heard to be near the refrigerator. Soren Kierkegaard will still be here, but we will be of the same spirit, and the translation will proceed. The love will come in only one thing said, and the tears will flow. There will be a time to get out more with other people, and I trust that my trust will be in humanity again. And, as people help each other out, like Numa and Black Spark must help out, I feel lucky not to be lost as a writer who is at home in charades with these others. 72. When those who are loud are avoided, then it will be easy, so easy to have silence, because then your hope will come. And, I cannot remember thinking of badness because I think the best will happen just by thinking it will happen, yet I too am hard to persuade that it will. And, there are some who hate their parents who have pleased them when they came, and those parents could not be better, even when hated by disrespectful children, when they helped their kids ride their bikes in a country where it all worked out that way. And the solution was for a healing, and one which was for your genius. The Trojan War was not your problem because you were healed by your solitude. And, there will be a place for the pleasure to heal and to connect with those who please. Your connection to the Trojan War will heal you because you will become serious about genius and about the quotations which happen. And, your own sisters will hate you less because of your serious wish to talk with them about what was almost forgotten of your dad and mom and their classiness. And, in the afternoon you can ride your bike, just like Milton did, and you don't have to choose between having to love or being wise, because the best will come even if you have to wait to hear just what the heck happened to those you loved. Not every thought is one of contempt for those who still live in your heart. 73. When there is nothing but all is normal, though it was not something you demanded, then you will breathe in its pleasant air and think how this feeling is your best one, and that the best will continue happening. And everybody sees just how necessary it is to love, and your hands need to be held when you are attracted to the ones you love. And as the harmony is corrected, the future will open to result in more goodness that had not been in the past. And your hands will be opened, and a book will be placed within them just for you, and you will know what the earth once was, and then the dust and the dirt will be removed as well as all that was awkward, cowardly, idle and bad, and less of it will happen as well when you read that book to your children. If there was no Adam nor Eve, and nothing came first of any awesome stories, then what awesomeness there is will only be upon those heights where nothing else can be higher. And, the reading will stop, and the field will be your happiness and bliss, and you will not need to get onto Skype, but the knowledge will have been spelt out to your Hebrew children, while your hand is being held, that all the words you know have always meant the same thing. And, your playfulness is felt by great and small, and the cosmos is you, and all is simply one. And, you do not wait to be with strangers. And the storm has passed by while you read. Your death and its necessity may be planned, but what comes afterward will be best as yours, and everybody's good sparks will be read like that book and loved as one. 74. The silly silence was the magnet, and it is so easy to be rewarded by that giddy silence because in it, the generous hope has risen up, and you have forgotten what was so bad as the worst which has happened was not persuasive in the end. And the persuasion has given to you its love. The children are as pleasant as the neighbors, and the best will come from them. And you will love being right here in this sweet spot, not even having to ride your good bike around San Antonio because magnetic you enjoy playing this way. For this was the fitting solution to your health, and an intelligent and utopian society has been the answer. The salvation has come with the labeled knowledge of others. And it is in this orderly time that you're pleased. Organized stereotomy is a pleasant medicine, and stereotomy and Homer's well-written Iliad both please alike, and those devout quotations that you love are for all. There is a respectful goodness in the listening you make, and your silly wishes have been remembered all in their totality. 75. It is not now, and there is nothing that we can do about our funny fun. And, Charles is not in charge anymore, so still an all-night love is possible because others are. And, when the smiling prize is not attained, then the sense is neither. And, the love will be felt regardless of who is writing. And, still it is not now, and this bag of coal and the silver coins are for my education. So there is a talk, and there is a talking betwixt those who know that these are the quotes, and Emerson pulled some from Homer, but I cannot provoke anybody if nobody is listening. So it is happiness to talk. And there is no hydromancy in the Iliad. But that words are whatever love makes of it. Aha, Homer's got the pretty clues. And when the father is a father, and the child his child, then that will be the learned day Moses' first steps into the wilderness in order to write that intimate Torah. 76. It is not okay that everything is not given back, and there is stillness within, though neglected. And I will later go further within to stay there within this mailbox as in a book to sit. And it is worser that Hawaiian sonnets had not been addressed to heaven, but nevertheless I have hope that later it will come from afar, and I remember that the heaven I took it to be back there where earth and heaven both came together was spiritual enough to check on, and the utmost knowledge of my home has been given to me in my life in the mailbox. I am alive and touching the earth, thankful for the generosity of those living, who were for my destiny paved to this box. Nothing is as clear when all is wrong, but I will sit here, nowhere to go, and lose my interest in newness and read still wherever I look within this mailbox here, upon this earth, and head buttressia will have its worth. And, still to be forgotten is all the same to me as I am happy enough just to sit and rest. And, this is the way to be human, which is to feed on the food from the markets, and to go again, with the cars honking horns out there is to go late but my patience is here. 77. The marvelous memory is yours and mine, and this critical certainty will not be a disastrous distraction again. The quickening people we know make nourishment slide back through love. And, the love checks up on the better things which do not grossly waste our good time. And our time celebrates the best books which we light upon that share with us the simple quickness of a happy day. And, if that is all that we ever talk about, then the healthy answer is friendship, and hallelujah, that good victory will be ours. So the telling victory is very very nice, and the hearing is come to knowing ears. The pleasant way is for more great time, and the intimate answer is to begin to let go of the bad situation which is exactly answerable to us. If the amazing place is here, and the intelligence matures nicely, then the streams will flow that bring on the greatness of our rising days. 78. There will be some time to say what you mean, and then you will feel like a genius even if you do not know what a genius is. And, it will be night, and the people will leave, and in that ordinary day, you will be home. And, there will be 5 structures to talk about, and all day you will talk as if you were Isaac, but Jesse still will not want his spinach. You will decide to keep the lid on the Yamaha, and by doing so you will not summon T-Raf. And, You will still hate no poetry if that poetry can keep you here on this day of celebration. And, it is the birthday but there are no presents except for the hope that world peace is now. And, Vanessa did not make the menudo, and we did not change our pictures to habaneros last night on Facebook. And, I smell as sweet as ever, even if this is a tragedy of the waters of Lethe, for a lost heaven was a place where living there was only temporal. And, Dr. Samuel Johnson's home is not as messy anymore, and we went from reverb to pitch shift, and read the Western canon. There is not a flock of birds here anymore, and their presence was only theoretical, though that colorful heaven was my favorite, but Samson did not say anything about it. 79. Nature is not for sale. The reds, oranges, and purples cannot be bought, and the green grass with many brightnesses becomes what we call eternal time. There is no paradox to this flat structure at the bottom of a folded desert. A quick day dims my hanging shirt. And, yesterday is forgotten so quickly. There is nowhere to go but to the washer, and the yellow shirt is maintained. It has a picture of Vermont on it, and I forget my notebook again. The sleep is taken which reassures that way, and this is the answer to how to breathe. The unified hours rise when the dark begins, and for the second time I have spoken quietly. These are not haunting words that build as a building might a picture for the land. And, there is nothing to confess or answer because it was easy to understand out there. And, I have been blinded by the feet slipping, and, the floor was so rough and it did not hold. The dire boredom did not last but for an instant before some surprise was given in the music.